And so I'm laying there, and probably about 45 minutes later, my NP comes back, and she's like, okay, so you have I think she said either 5.6 or 5.7 centimeter endometrioma on your left ovary. And I just remember being like, endometriosis? Like, just because I didn't remember all the details of endometriosis at the time. I just remember what we had learned about it essentially like the year before in school. I just knew it was chronic. It was something that you typically had to treat with birth control. So I literally told the NP, I was like, crap, they're going to make me get on birth control, aren't they? And she was saying that I would need to follow up with my OBGYN because I would probably need like a surgery for it, especially because they'd be worried about something rare, but like something that could be as severe as ovarian torsion, which is basically like, think about, it's almost like the same thing as like a testicle, but it's an ovary. Think about your fallopian tube as like the string, and then your ovary as like the ball at the end of the string. Imagine something's weighing that ball around. It can actually cause your ovary to twist and cause your fallopian tube to twist. That's incredibly painful, and it's incredibly dangerous. And in that case, you would definitely need to get that whole side removed. So that's like worst case scenario, but it's very, very rare. But that's just one of the reasons why it is important to get surgery. Apart from discomfort, apart from possible rupture, that's just a major complication that, though it's rare, if it does happen, the consequences are terrible. So I basically was just like, okay, now I'm gonna have to get surgery. I'm thinking about med school because this was at the very end of March. Like, I'm talking like somewhere between the 28th and the 31st. I knew school was gonna end in the second week of April, literally like smack dab in the middle of April. And I was thinking, dang, I'm supposed to be taking step 1, which is basically the most stressful exam that any med student takes, because it is our first board exam. It's on the first 2 years of what we learn in med school. It's the most unintuitive because it's like basically science. It's like all the like pathology of why things are happening, the physiology of how things are happening, medications. Like, it's just a lot of just straight memorization. Of course, there is thinking involved, but it's just a lot of knowing, like a lot of just facts. And it's incredibly overwhelming. And at my school, a lot of schools do this, but at my school, you have to pass that before you start your 3rd year. So I'm thinking like, crap, not only do I have this chronic issue that I know is normally treated with birth control, the very thing that I've been trying to, stay off of in a healthy way, but on top of that, it is chronic pain and inflammation. And on top of that, I have to get a surgery to at least remove this massive cyst on my left ovary. And I have no idea how I'm going to be able to do that when I'm supposed to be spending this summer taking my board exam. So that was kind of my mindset at the time. And so what I did was I scheduled an appointment with my regular OBGYN, took all of the information that I got from the ER visit with me, and I scheduled both an ultrasound and a regular pap because I was actually due for my regular annual women's exam. So I went to the doc, and again, her staff is just like something different, but she's amazing. But she just so happened to overhear the conversation I was having with a clearly confused staff member, and she was like, no, just like bring her in here, we'll talk about it. So we talked about my ER visit, about the fact that I had what they presumed was an endometrioma, and that I would need to see a specialist to get that, confirmed and everything else. So I did my pap smear, and what I noticed was this pap smear was incredibly painful, like I was actually wincing in pain. Like when they were collecting the cells from my cervix, when they take like the brush, it was actually painful to the point where I was literally like kind of like, I'm laying down, but I'm like kind of like holding on, like tensing up, because it was actually painful. And on that note, the pap smear that I had before that wasn't painful, but I remember having a little bit of like pain or irritated feeling, which had never happened before. I've been getting pap smears every single year since I was 18. And that never happened before. As a matter of fact, I mostly didn't feel anything for pap smears. So I thought it was really weird that the one that I had gotten in 2021, I do remember being a little bit, like it being a little bit of irritating, where I could feel it. And I was like, ooh, like I was uncomfortable. There was discomfort. But then this pap smear in 2022 was actually painful. And that's kind of not normal, but the woman that was doing my pap smear, she didn't say anything about it. I'm literally, and she was there with somebody else. Like she was showing somebody else what was going on. So I like, again, like the healthcare system sometimes is just so like people don't pay attention and people aren't as empathetic as you would want them to be, because I was literally wincing in pain. Little does she know how much pain I was just in, days prior, but I'm literally in pain and nobody thought that that was abnormal. So it just makes me feel like, did this person just think I was like whining? Did this person think that it's normal to have pain on a pap smear? Like, I'll never know, because honestly, I was so overwhelmed by that point with the problems that I already had that I didn't even bring it up. I brought it up to who would eventually be my surgeon, but I didn't even bring it up. I just was just like, let me get this pap smear done and go down to ultrasound, because that was obviously like the biggest thing on my mind. So the doctor, she basically told me, she was like, hey, just call me. The radiology tech has my cell phone number. As soon as you get down there, because I told her, I was like, I have STEP coming up. I have to talk to my deans, like to try to figure out if I really need surgery, how soon I need it, and all of that. So she was like, I totally get that. Go down there, get the ultrasound. As soon as the tech says she has the images that she needs, tell her to call me and we'll discuss the results right there on the phone. So I went down to ultrasound, and clearly enough, in this office, they actually had it to where the screen is right in front of the patient. Like you can literally see, it's actually a really nice little medi spa. You can literally see everything on the ultrasound right there in front of you. And of course she did abdominal and transvaginal. And I saw that endometrioma. And it was like, you couldn't see my ovary. Like it was just so big. There was like almost like something on the side. I remember I didn't know what it was, but I don't know if it was like a part of my ovary or something, but I couldn't see any follicles on my ovary. But I did see some tissue kind of like on the side of it. But the thing was like massive. It looked like it took up my whole entire left side. And then my right side, I do remember I could see my ovary and I could see follicles. So basically the tech was like, yep, I'm measuring it. I think she measured it at like 5.7. So around the same amount. She was like, yep, that's a big endometrioma right there. So she called the doc and she was like, the doc was just like, okay, just tell her to come up and come see me and we'll talk about what her next steps would be. So I went back up to the gynecologist again, went back and sat down in her office, and she basically said, yeah, you need surgery. And she was like, and I think it's urgent for you, not only because of the size of the mass, because once you start approaching like that 6 centimeters, that's when it becomes like, you need to get it out. I mean, even before then, but that's like a whoa, this thing is going to be putting a lot of weight on your ovary. It could damage your ovary. This thing is getting really big. It could rupture once you start getting around really over 4 centimeters, but 6 centimeters is pretty big. And it's crazy to think that there's literally women that have 10 centimeters of endometrioma. It's like insane. Another reason why she was super concerned and felt that it was very urgent is because you got to think, I had just seen her 11 months ago, and I had the small, what seemed like a hemorrhagic cyst that was only, like less than 1.5 centimeters large. And now only in 11 months, it's almost 6 centimeters. So it is times 6 in size only in 11 months. So that shows that the tissue is growing very, very rapidly and aggressively. And so that was her biggest thing, was like, no, you need to get this out. You need to get the surgery to see what else is in there. And that's basically all she wrote. So at that point, I talked to my academic dean, and I was really nervous because first step, like there's very strict rules around our board exams. And I just didn't know if it technically wasn't a medical emergency. I didn't know how it was going to play out, but they did accept an urgency the same as an emergency, because even though it's not emergent, as in it's not life or death per se, it's urgent as in, for me, it's still life and death, because this is my fertility, this is my quality of life. And it's crazy because my academic team was actually very supportive, and she's known for being like, she's very stern, like she's also very considerate. And I think she's almost just like that strict auntie who you do like to be around. She's really sweet, and you know she has your back, but she doesn't play games. Like, you're not gonna leave her house a mess. You're gonna clean up behind you. You're gonna be respectful. Like, you know, you're gonna yes ma'am, no ma'am. Like, that's how she is. But she's also very, very thoughtful and really cares about us being successful in our health. And I was just so appreciative of her, because she was like, no, because I was the one thinking like, okay, well, maybe I could take the exam then, and I could do this and that. And she was like, she shut it all down. She was just like, no, you need to take care of your health, because once third year starts, you don't get any breaks. She was like, third year, fourth year, you're in clinics, you're in rotations, you're going. And if you end up getting sick or having to call out because of your issue that you needed to get surgery for, there's no such thing as like making up time. You have to redo that rotation. So like, it basically puts you behind. On top of, she was like, how are you going to be successful if you don't feel well? She's like, you need to take care of yourself. That's why we have extra time. So basically, instead of me starting my school in July with all my classmates, I have to start in September. And there were actually some reasons why I was a little bit concerned about that too, because I'm also on a scholarship, a military scholarship at that. And there's so many things that come into play with the timing. So I was really nervous, but it seems like it's going to all work out. Not perfectly. There's a lot of sacrifices that I'm going to have to make. There's a lot of working parts around it, but at the end of the day, like, I knew I was going to be able to have the surgery, I was going to be able to take my step exam, and I was going to be able to start school in a semi-normal fashion. Even though I might be a little bit behind my classmates, it wasn't going to affect my graduation time or anything like super crazy. Like, I was still going to be okay at the end. So yeah, so that was my last OB-GYN visit. So now comes to planning the surgery. And this is the part where I really wanted to do my due diligence. So I just wanted to say, if you've watched this portion of my story and my journey, thank you so much, so much. And if you are also finding out that you have endo, or you think that you may have endo, definitely give a comment. Like, let me know. I would love to talk to some of you ladies about some of the struggles you've had, or even the successes you've had, different things that you've learned about your journey. I would just love for you guys to share. If you liked this video, please like it and support me, because I have no idea like how people are even gonna ever see this video. So like, please like the video if you found it helpful, inspirational, informative, or maybe you just liked hearing me talk. I would love that. And of course, subscribe, because I'm going to continue to post videos. I'm going to continue to post about like my actual post-op experience live with my vlog. Well, it was live at the time with my vlog. So yeah, just reach out. Feel free to interact with me. I would absolutely love that. And then stay tuned for the next part of the endometriosis story.